It's an honor to be here, and thank you so much, Mama, for having me, because I don't take it for granted whenever I'm given an opportunity to speak. And to speak to women and men is such an honor and it's a privilege. If there's anything I want you to leave here with, it's the permission that I want you to give yourself. The permission to be more, the permission to do more, the permission to, I don't know how many of you know about the parables in the Bible where it talks about talents. You know, one had one talent, one had, was it two, and then one had five. If you are someone who has multiple talents, that's okay. If you're someone who has two talents, that's okay. If you're someone who has just the one, that's okay. Own it. But if you find yourself in the midst of, say, you're a one talenter and you're in the midst of five talents, you'd feel like you're not enough. If you have five talents and you find yourself in the midst of people who have one talent, you feel maybe you're confused and you can't make a decision. But I want you to be aware of your own self through this conversation. So my journey in business probably started when I was, I want to say, the age of 14. I was born here in the UK, but my siblings were back in Nigeria, where I'm from. And my dad was headhunted from here to go back to Nigeria to open up banks because he was a banker. So we went back, funny, we're in a bank, isn't it? We went back to Nigeria, and the plan to it was a 4-year contract. He'll open up the bank and we'll come back with my siblings. But then he was then appointed to open the bank branches nationwide. So every 4 years we would move because that was his job. We were living the high life, you know, as it is, beautiful as you would when in the money world. And fast forward a few years later, things changed. Things changed in the banking system in Nigeria. And I had to fend for myself. I'm the last child, so my siblings had already been put through school, and I almost felt forgotten because my parents didn't remember I had to go to school. In fact, I think it was secondary school. I missed my whole first term because no one sorted out my admission into secondary school. But fast forward, I finished secondary school, to get into university was a challenge. I didn't have the funds to do the exams. I couldn't get the lessons, the tutorials. I just had to work. But to go and get a job was a big problem because my mom didn't believe a teenager should be working. What would that say? How would that look? So I went behind her back and got a job, the first job. They found out about it, and obviously I got a shout down for even trying. Then I went again behind their backs, got another job in a school, and I didn't tell them. When I went for my interview and came back, she realized I left the house. So, of course, I got told off for leaving the house. But then I told her I got a job. She was like, you can't have a job. Your dad doesn't have a job. How can you have a job? But I did get a job. And my job was what was now funding my family at such a young age. But I don't know if it's a privilege or if it was just a blessing that I didn't see myself as a victim. I saw that as empowering. So when we're talking about empowering women, I was empowered. I was empowered, maybe divinely, so to speak. So I started working at such a young age, worked my way through, went into university. There were so many strikes, and I thought, okay, I'll come back to England. I'm British anyway, why not? So I had to get my passport, sorted out myself, and I came back to England and started a life here. Went back to uni here, qualified, got a job in Ofsted, worked my way through civil service. And then I got married. I'm fast forwarding, obviously. I got married. And then during my first maternity leave, I was working as an organizational development consultant at the time, which is what I do. And my daughter needed her first birthday cake. And there was no one in Ashford, because I live in Ashford. There was nowhere to get that cake from in Ashford. My life has been one of, there's a problem, it needs to be solved. I say yes, and I solve the problem. That's just how it's been for me. I've never seen it as a disadvantage, never. I just get on with it. If there's something that needs to be done, my personal mantra is, if it's to be, it's up to me. So I just get on with it. So I went to a charity shop on the high street down there, and I bought a £2 recipe book. Went home, bought the ingredients, mixed it with my hands, made my daughter's birthday cake. People came for the birthday party. Lovely. Oh my God, can you make us a cake? Yes, of course I can. What's the big deal? So I started making cakes. And before you know it, people who I didn't know were then asking me for cakes. And I had to register, get a food license. Fast forward, I had a shop on Faversham Road, a cake shop. It had become something big. I was making cakes for all the weddings in Kent. I was listed with all the venues in Kent. I was making hanging cakes, chandelier cakes, upside down cakes. I went crazy with cakes. So I went back to work. I became the official baker at my workplace, and everyone was saying, why not just, quit this and do that? I was like, I don't have to. It doesn't have to be one or the other, does it? Why can't I do this and do that? So I carried on doing it, and then second child came along, carried on with it. Third child came along. By the way, I was told I wouldn't have kids, so I was very happy to have the three of them. Third child came along, and it was now more expensive to go back to work because of childcare, because we're all little. So you think about the wraparound care, breakfast clubs, after clubs, it was more expensive to go back to work. So I took a career break. And I thought, okay, I'm quite restless with myself. So if I don't have my day job and my business, what am I going to do? So I ramped up my business and added events to it. So I had lecture cakes, I had Blessing by Blair. I'm going to do luxury events. Why not? If you're going to do it, go to town. So that happened. We carried on doing, I started doing events internationally. I really went for it. I've never had an issue with dreaming big. If anything, I always was told, you need to calm down. It's a bit much. You're not the only one here, but that's I suppose that's my setting. So whilst I was in my cake shop once, and I thought, I want to do more with events. There's more I can offer. Why don't I do events, corporate events, but I want to do it internationally. And I wanted to do it in the oil and gas space. Now, I don't know how you go from flour, sugar, butter, and eggs to facilitating events in oil and gas, but well, Blessing had that idea. And of course, I went to prayers, I prayed, and I'm not kidding you. I was in my cake shop when someone walked in to sell some, like display screens to me in my shop. I had one there already, so he had to wait for a bit because I was consulting with a couple for their wedding cake. Cut the long story short, he then saw that I had events, fancy events on the screen. So he asked a few questions, do you do events? I was like, yes. And he said, I've just got the contract to do the oil and gas events for the Nigerian government. And I was like, oh, really? Did you? Would you like a drink? Let's have more conversations here. Hello. I don't think you came here to sell a screen to me. You came here because I brought you here with my intention. So we had a conversation. A week later, I had a ticket on my WhatsApp, a flight ticket to Nigeria to go out and consult. And I did the event for the federal government of Nigeria for 6 years in the oil and gas space. Now, what am I saying? What is your intention? What is it you want to do? What is it that you have told yourself, I can't really, I'm not qualified to, I don't have the exposure, I don't have the connections, I'm not from the right race, I'm not from the right breed, I don't sound the right way. What are those limitations that you've placed on yourself? Maybe because of your environment, maybe because of what you've been told, maybe because of your upbringing, maybe because you just haven't seen it, whatever the reason is. You mentioned earlier, you said some people have been wanting to write books, and maybe those books are still within you. I brought my books just to show you that you can birth them. Yeah? So what is it that you want to do? That's what I want to address today. What's the dream? What's the desire? What's the ambition? All my work is surrounded with leaders who have ambition, and my job is to bring structure to it. So if I were to challenge you this evening to say, if wishes were horses, where would you be? What would your response be? Would it be where you are right now? Or would you be in a different country? Would you be doing something different from what you're doing? What is your ambition? I looked at the sheet you sent me, and people ticked on different things, project management, starting a business, and there was nothing in the box for leadership. That for me was like, oh, I'm going to pick on that. Now, leadership might sound like, oh, I have to be a manager, or maybe I'm leading people or leading a company or an organization. But can I reframe that for you? Leadership starts with you. Leadership, for me, starts with me. So let's look at self-leadership. Yeah? There are 3 C's that I have coined out of self-leadership. So if you've got a pen and paper, feel free to write it down. So my 3 C's of self-leadership. Number one is competence. What does it mean? Everyone in this room is competent in something or some things. Would you agree? What are you competent in? What is your competence? Can you actually identify your competence? If you can, 30 seconds, write down as many as you can. What are you competent in? Communication, writing, reading, creating. What are you competent in? I want you to identify. Don't forget what we're looking at here is your self-leadership, how you're leading yourself. So competence, what is your competence? If you're a mother, there's like 20 skill sets in there already just by being a mom. Same if you're a dad, you learn on the job. But there's levels of competence that I want you to identify for yourself today. So if you can do at least 5, that would be good. Have you got 5? 1, 2? Anyone care to share? What have you got? What have you got, Palm? I'll put you on the spot.
What have I got?
Yeah.
Okay, so coaching, public speaking, you mentioned parenting, I'm a single parent of 2 daughters who both have gone to university.
Amazing. Amazing.
Creative design, but if anyone knows me, my passion is woodwork.
Amazing.
So I'm building stuff with wood all the time, and that is something I'm
That's
really
a competence.
competent and confident in. Well,
Nice. Nice. Thanks for sharing. So do you see how just by looking inwards, just that, looking at that self-awareness, what are you competent? What have you forgotten about yourself that you actually have the competence in? As women, we go through life sometimes, especially with every kid. Mentally, you shift and we compartmentalize and you can forget who you were before each kid. I don't know. Is it just me? Okay, I'm good. So that's good. Do you know, my expertise, organizational development consultancy, which is what I do, which is what my consultancy is now. That's what I did before I had kids. But do you know that in between, I forgot. Blank. I was the cake lady. That's what they called me around here. I owned it. Sometimes I'm the muffin girl because I bring my oven to the high street on Sundays and I'm baking cakes and I'm covered in flour and sugar. But did it stop who I was? Did it stop all the degrees I have? Did it stop the experience I had? For goodness sake, Southeast Coast Ambulance Service Med, I was the one who did the post-integration for it. I can name how many exploits and greatness and mountains I had climbed, but in that moment I was a cake lady. I forgot everything else. It took a lot of coaching for me to remember that I'm an OD consultant. So bear that in mind. There might be things about you that you've probably forgotten or you've boxed or because you're not looking at it, you don't see it anymore. So if you don't have a coach, I recommend you get yourself one. A business mentor and a personal coach, 2 different people. That I personally recommend you do that. She didn't pay me to say that, but I just personally recommend you get yourself one if you don't. Because it brings out the best in you. It sees you beyond how you see yourself. That's coaching. So now we've identified our competence. My next C is confidence. So we've got competence, then we've got confidence. Don't forget what we're looking at here is personal leadership, your self-leadership. So why confidence? No matter how experienced I am, how educated I might be, if I stand here without confidence to speak to you, am I likely to make an impact? No. So most times we miss opportunities because, I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm good enough. That self-talk. We believe what someone said to us. We believe what somebody said to somebody else. Those people that come and give us advice, like you were saying earlier, someone said to you, why would you do that? It knocks on your confidence. It eats away at you. A line manager says something. Someone who has no right to say yes to you tells you a no, and you take it in. You swallow it whole. And you start to behave like a mouse when you're supposed to be a roaring tiger or a lion or something. Why? Because of what someone said. We can easily be influenced if we're not paying attention. So your confidence you must allocate energy to your confidence? How much have I fed my confidence today? What have I done to increase my level of confidence today? When we start losing our confidence, it's because we don't trust ourselves. What is it that makes you lose trust in yourself? I mean, we can trust God, we can trust our mothers, we can trust our fathers, we can trust our children, we can trust everyone else. Do you trust you? Because if you don't trust you, how am I going to trust you? So your confidence is important. Figure it out. How do you grow in confidence? What do you need to do to increase the trust you have in yourself? How confident are you to look in the mirror and like what you see? And if you don't like what you see, what are you going to do about it? If you're not happy with the job you're in, when are you going to apply for the next 2 job roles up? I didn't say the next, I mean 2 roles up. Why not? Why not? What's likely to happen? You don't get it. What difference does that make? You're exactly where you are. So why not take the chance on yourself? So your competence, your confidence. And my third C is courage. Now, you hear often they say courage is in the absence of fear. It is in spite of fear. Now, I tell my children, I said, if you cannot get rid of the fear to do it afraid. My fear has a name. She has a whole identity. She has a personality. She didn't come with me today. I don't know why. But usually she comes with me wherever I'm going. She can come along for the ride and watch me perform with the fear. When you spend time and energy trying to get over the fear, you're leaking your own confidence. It's okay to be afraid. What's fear got to do with it? It's just a feeling. But when you let it overpower you, oh my God, what will my manager think? What will they say? If I apply for that job, nobody cares what they think. What do you think? You have to tell yourself you're good enough. When you make a mistake, own the mistake. Don't wait for someone to own it for you. So courage is in spite of fear. So I could be competent. I could have the confidence. But if I don't have the courage to take that first step, if Palmer says to me, we've got this opportunity, would you like to? I am competent. I can do it. I have the confidence. I've done it before. Why not? Oh, but courage. Oh, how? Oh, if I don't say yes and then figure it out, I miss the opportunity. I don't get to meet you. You don't get to meet me. And who knows the impact you're going to make on my life for being here today. So your courage is very important. You must be courageous. You talk about Dutch courage. You have to have your own self-courage. You must encourage yourself. Blessing you can. Blessing you are good enough. Blessing you are enough. I know for many of us as women, obviously we lose confidence as we go because of everything that happens. But remember that when you're losing, you need to find the balance to gain. So it's not just all about we're mothers, we're creating new human beings. We are still a human being. So you must feed your soul. You must find what it is that gives you that soul purpose. For me, a cup of Earl Grey tea, it's like, yeah, God is good. But what is it for you? It could be something as simple as, it could be basketball, it could be having time with friends, it could be being with your children, it could be Peppa Pig, it could be whatever it is. Find something that feeds your soul and grow in your courage. So what are the 3 C's again? Competence, yeah, confidence, and courage. So having the courage to step out might be where you are. You know what you're good at. I've been doing it for 15 years. I have the confidence. I'm going to apply. But like we always do, it's like, okay, I'm a manager now. Let me apply for, what's the next step? I don't know. I'm daring you to take 2 steps minimum. Minimum. If you have a business and you're exchanging time for money, I dare you to think about scale. Beyond you yourself, how can you create opportunities for others to have jobs? Let your business be the reason people are waking up in the morning to go to work. That's courage. So it's no longer about, oh, how do I pay my bills? How do your staff pay their bills? Ramp it up a little with courage. If you have a product that you're doing, how do you scale that product? Beyond that, how are you going to exit your business? Many times we don't talk about that because that's where the money is. If you can grow your business, scale it to the point where someone or somebody or a company buys it off you, that's where the money is. And then as women, we can create our own fund to invest in those coming after us. So let's get to that place where we're thinking scale. In anything you're doing, scale. Competence, confidence, courage. Courage. If there's a book within you that you need to write, tonight, before you go to bed, write chapter 1. Can you do that for me? Only chapter 1. I didn't say, you don't worry about the title, the colors, just write chapter 1. That's all, just 1. And then you see what happens from there. If there's a business idea that you have, speak to someone in this room today about that idea. They're not going to steal your idea. Ideas are nothing without implementation. We all have ideas, but if you don't implement it, it's as good as nothing. So don't stress about telling someone else. But before you leave here today, speak to somebody about that idea. Just birth it. Get it out of you. Get it out of you. If there's a promotion that you've been looking at, and you think, oh, maybe I need to do another 3 more years. I need to go and get another certificate before I can apply. I dare you, apply tomorrow. Just do it. What's the worst that would happen? What have you got to lose? Nothing. Nothing. Just take that step and push yourself. So your self-leadership is very important. Self-leadership. Within self-leadership is something called self-agency. What is self-agency? Where you're your own agent. I have the ability to pick myself back up. If I trample and fall, I'm not a baby who's going to lie down and wait for mommy to come and pick me up. I'll get up myself because I have the agency to do it. You all have it. We all have the agency to pick ourselves back up. If we do a check on who's going through bad stuff in their lives right now, everyone has stuff going on. Everybody has something going on. You're not alone. So don't victimize yourself by thinking, I'm very special. I'm the only one with this problem. Most of us here have debts to pay. Most of us here have things we're trying to achieve. Most of us here have cars that need a headlight or the other. The MOT is due soon. The rent is due. The mortgage is due. Oh, I need a bigger house. Oh, I need a smaller house. Oh, there's something we all need. So don't isolate yourself thinking, oh, it's just me, myself, and I am the only one who has this problem. Not true. Not true. Have your own self-agency. Don't look at the limitations. Remove them. Remove them. Stop telling yourself those stories of, if only I was 1 inch taller, if only I was this inch slimmer, if only I was this color lighter. BS. It's rubbish. Absolute tosh. You are enough, just as you are. What is in your hands right now? Use that to get what you need for tomorrow. Use that to get what you need for tomorrow. So my assignment, write your first chapter if you've got a book. If you've got a business idea, talk to someone about it. If you've got a promotion that has been calling on you, do what? Apply. You can, because you are enough. Thank you very much.